If you are already missing fantasy football 4 days after the regular season ended, then you are in the right place because today we are breaking down our Dynasty running back rankings for fantasy football. 40 different running backs broken down into tiers. Now, because we are covering 40 different players, that does not mean we are going to be able to give 40 different running backs the time they need. So we're going to cover them by tier, highlight a few big names in each tier. The big three right now in the S tier is Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon Achane, and I think it's a pretty hard set tier at that. I honestly don't care which order you have these three in. Cam, for you and me, it's Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Devon Achane. Ty, you have Jahmyr Gibbs ahead of Bijan Robinson, followed by Devon Achane then. Any particular reason why you have Gibbs ahead of Bijan Robinson?
Just, I feel like touchdowns are going to fall Gibbs' way more than Bijan. We're always going to have that Tyler Algier goal line situation and conundrum every single year. This is true, but the most underrated superstar, granted the coach is now out of the building, so maybe he's not the most underrated superstar, and maybe he's just like a normal player now at this point. But when the receiving work kind of evened out this year with what we saw with Gibbs, where we're walking away with multiple games of A+ catches, you do have to look at touchdowns because volume's roughly going to be the same, maybe a little more Bijan's way. Receiving work, again, like I said, evened out. Touchdowns, Gibbs is just a touchdown machine. So that's the only reason why I lean Gibbs. Maybe it's more long-term offensive bet too with Detroit versus Atlanta. But at the same time, if Atlanta gets their coaching hire right, Bijan could very well be my running back one, literally when they hire their next coach.
I think you can basically just summarize this tier as the players who are getting elite rushing work, elite receiving work, potentially elite touchdown work as well. And they're all under the age of 24. Because when we look at the A tier, then you could say, well, that's a lot of guys in this tier, but it's more of a mixed bag, right? It's Ashton Jeanty, James Cook, Jonathan Taylor, Travion Henderson, and Amarian Hampton. Obviously, you got the high upside young rookies in here. So I want to start with Ashton Jeanty because obviously it was a less than memorable rookie season behind an absolutely putrid Raiders offensive line, which produced an absolutely putrid Raiders offense. And unfortunately, I think that's letting them down relatively easy. Yet Ashton Jeanty is still running back 4 here, Cameron. Is this more of like an optimistic ranking? How are you kind of balancing out the nature of this Las Vegas Raiders offense, but also with the talent that we know Ashton Jeanty possesses?
Yeah, it's definitely optimistic. And honestly, it's the ranking I'm the most scared about. I do have him this high. I have him at 4, but it is because of, hey, I know what he can do. I'm hoping we see it translate a little bit more, right? We saw a couple flashes. He had that Bears game this year where he put up multiple touchdowns, had a big run in that one. We saw, Houston, a defense that he should have dominated them. He had 24 rush attempts, 120 yards and a touchdown. The receiving work was a nice surprise from Jeanty. Obviously, that could change based on the coordinator, but he did show, hey, I'm a very capable receiving back, 73 targets, 321 total touches. So it's a bank on, we know he's going to get the volume. We know he gets receiving work. Let's hope that if any part of this offense is better, right, there's going to be some improvement. They had some of the worst quarterback play, worst O-line play, worst defense. I mean, there were everything that could have gone against Jeanty from a team aspect did this season, so it can't get worse, but I'm also not expecting it to get exponentially better next year.
Ty, where are you at? Kind of a year one, post-year one check-in here with Ashton Jeanty.
I wish I could victory lap this because I was the most out on Jeanty at the beginning of the year because I was
aggressively so.
Aggressively. I was like, it's just there's so much that can go wrong, and maybe I didn't predict exactly what went wrong, but this was as bad as I thought it could get. And I will say now moving forward, the hope isn't that, again, we go from bad to good in 1 year. I feel like that's going to be a year in, year out conversation. But the hope is that we can go from bad to average. That's going to be a theme with a lot of these bad or these worse kind of teams, these worse offenses, if we can go from bad to average, then we're right back, or, we're right back in on these guys. Genty very much is that like, yeah, we saw flashes of the receiving work. We know that if we can go from bad to average, touchdowns should come around then too, because we know the volume and the carries will be there automatically. So this one, yes, very scary, but at the same time, I don't think it can get much worse than what it was this year. So the only way is up from here.
Josh Norris tweeted this out after Ashton Genty just put up a phenomenal game against debatably the best run defense in football in the Houston Texans. Of all we have to do is get Ashton Genty's offensive line from bottom of the barrel to average, maybe even slightly below average next year. 24 for 128 and a 60-yard reception for a score as well against Houston. Like, you saw everything that Ashton Genty can provide in offense. We literally just have to get this offense competent. And I have to imagine too, the usage is going to remain high, assuming the Raiders take Fernando Mendoza, number 1 overall in the NFL draft this year. No need to put the pressure on the rookie quarterback. Let's make things easy by handing the ball off to Ashton Genty, dumping it off to him in the flats, and getting him some easy work to Brock Bowers as well. So from a usage perspective, I think it's going to remain very, very high for Ashton Genty. All we have to do is just improve this offensive line a bit more, so it's not as putrid as it was this season. I want to do a quick check-in on Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, phenomenal season, but once Daniel Jones went down, you could basically kind of write the season off from there. Some big question marks there, but Ty, for you, I was a little bit surprised in how different your ranking was than Cameron and I. Cameron and I have Jonathan Taylor down as our running back 7 in Dynasty, but you're still all the way up at running back 4, following all the guys in the S tier here. So give me your thoughts on that and why he still ranks ahead of the James Cooks, the Ashton Gentys, etc.
Honestly, because I don't think it's that far of a stretch to say that the worst games for Jonathan Taylor this year came after really this offense just got decimated with injuries, specifically with Daniel Jones. Yes, it wasn't great out of the bye against Kansas City, Houston, and Jacksonville, but at the same time, like, those were the toughest defenses that he went up against. So you could understand maybe the drop off in production from a fantasy perspective. But if everything is going to be, I shouldn't say that everything should be the same as it was this year, because Daniel Jones won't be back right away at the beginning of the year. But if we can get some sort of competent quarterback other than Anthony Richardson, that's not a shot at him. I'm just saying, like, you need kind of a point general, a point guard quarterback. If you can get another one in, Jonathan Taylor is going to be the focal point of this offense. That was Cam's prediction. That was Lucas's prediction. I was very I'm not sure it's Danny Dimes after all. But we saw what can happen in a balanced offense with Jonathan Taylor in this Colts offense. So I'm all aboard. I am of the belief that they can find another point guard quarterback, and that Jonathan Taylor again kind of reemerges and establishes himself as that like true running back 1, not just in redraft, but in Dynasty.
Cam, I'll let you chime in here too. I think maybe my concern with Jonathan Taylor isn't the talent. We know what the talent of Jonathan Taylor is. We'll talk about this with the player in the beat here as well. We know what the talent is. We know what they can produce, but I'm looking at a running back who's 27 years old, who's now back-to-back seasons of 300-plus touches. That just adds up quick. That puts even more tread on the tires when Jonathan Taylor was already putting in that level of work on his rookie contract. I don't want to write this off because we played this game with Derrick Henry for how many years, right? So I am not using it as a reason to fade Jonathan Taylor, but if I'm looking to break ties between James Cook, who is keeping pace with Jonathan Taylor in rushing yards this year. For the upside, we know Ashton Genty possesses shoot. Even the upside of Marion Hampton could possess in the Los Angeles Chargers offense with no more Najee Harris. And gosh, I cannot believe they'll keep playing Kamani Vidal alongside of Marion Hampton once he's fully healthy. But point being, Cameron, that's kind of where my tiebreakers are. Where are you at, considering you and I both have him at running back 7?
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to for me. Is it's just back-to-back 300-plus touches. 370 touches this season. It's just a lot. And I was actually pulling up Derrick Henry just because I was like, he wanted to compare.
Right.
His season stats are just so stupid. It just doesn't end of 300 plus touches, 1,200 plus yards. He had that one.
Literally a cyborg.
His one down year where he broke his foot. I'm sorry.
That season was going to be.
He still had. In 8 games, he still had 219 carries for 913 yards.
He was legitimately going to have 400 touches that year.
Yes.
I remember because it was the first year I said, I'm not going to be scared. And I'm going to draft Derrick Henry. And if I fall on the sword, I fall on the sword. And once you know he breaks his foot halfway, I was so upset about that. I digress.
Just ridiculous. So, I mean, you can't compare anybody to him. And so just the history of every other running back, back-to-back 300-yard seasons, it's not great. That was why I had faded Saquon a little bit. Obviously, I didn't fade him to the extent of being running back 14, but he was my running back 5 going into the year, was just coming off this amount of touches. I'm just going to take a step back. But if there's a guy right now in the NFL who's not named Derrick Henry who could put up a third season, it is Jonathan Taylor. That's why he's still in this tier for me. I would assume that's why he's still in this tier for you as well, Lucas.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what it is. Let's dip back into the youth tier. Again, we could talk about how great Jonathan Taylor is forever and ever. I want to talk about TreVeyon Henderson because even after Ramondre Stevenson came back, wouldn't you know, it was Ramondre Stevenson who was a league winner in week 17 for your fantasy football teams. Despite how badly we wanted to be TreVeyon Henderson, here he is, still in the A tier. And might I add that Ramondre Stevenson is still under contract through 2027 before you get a potential out here for the New England Patriots. He is still an $8.2 million dead cap hit this season if the Patriots were to move on from Ramondre, instead of only $3 million after the 2027 or after the 2026 season, excuse me. So, like, are we too bullish here on TreVeyon Henderson? Like, could we just get another year where it's, gosh dang it, I love that TreVeyon is getting 15 carries a game, but why is Ramondre Stevenson getting 10 carries for 52 yards and 2 touchdowns? Why can't those fall TreVeyon Henderson's way? I'm a little bit worried we're being too bullish here, even though we know all the upside in the world exists with TreVeyon Henderson.
My thing with TreVeyon is I think he's a guy you're going to want to have another back in the backfield with him for most of his career. I don't want to see TreVeyon sitting at 270 carries. Now, would I like to see the back half of the season more than the front half? Absolutely. I don't want another front half of the season where he goes out and averages, 4.5, 5 yards a carry, but we can't get more than 6 or 7 carries. That was such a bummer. But really what it's going to come down to is the
they'll hit you in the comment section with it. Don't worry.
They probably will. It's going to come down to the receiving work. Is this a guy who can be in that HN Gibbs Bijan tier of 4 to 5 receptions a game, or is it going to be like we saw weeks 15 to 18 where he had 3 receptions total? That's what it's going to come down to. And if he can be like the 4 to 5 receptions a game, it doesn't really matter if Ramondre's there because he's going to be able to see 250, 260 touches no matter what.
I do like the point real quick. I do like the point that Cam brought up about the receiving work, because there is kind of a reality to this situation where your wide receiver 1 and Stephon Diggs may not be on the team before the beginning of next year. There's an out in that contract with all the legal stuff. It's a pretty easy cut ties with Stephon Diggs. And so then you're looking at Kayshon Boutte, you're looking at Mac Hollins, but he was on a 1-year deal, so you got to bring him back then. It's DeMario Douglas then. Like, TreVeyon could absolutely rack up receptions here because they kind of have to use him in the receiving game at that point. So there is upside here. There's also the concern for, again, the Ramondre Stevenson factor of this, but you would hope that in year 2, there's a little more on TreVeyon's plate, that this coaching staff isn't so scared to keep him out on the field, because the talent is there and he can prove it. We just need a few more opportunities to go his way.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping we get more of a year 2 Jahmyr Gibbs out of TreVeyon Henderson. And I know everyone's tired of that comparison, but like, I think that's the fair trajectory that we've been on. And it just didn't turn into a top 5 finish to the season like it was for Jahmyr Gibbs during his rookie year. So I'm hoping we get a similar jump to Jahmyr Gibbs, not necessarily outright same production, but a similar size jump respectively for TreVeyon Henderson going into his sophomore year. And I think that's why I remain optimistic, because I do think he is one of the more younger, more exciting, more upside possessing assets that you can have in Dynasty right now at the running back position. I want to talk about another rookie running back, though, who unfortunately missed a good chunk of the season with injury, Amari Hampton. Cam, I'm a little bit surprised that you're not as in on Amari Hampton. I have him all the way up as my running back 5 in Dynasty. I absolutely love Amari Hampton. I think he's an incredible asset you can have right now. You have him down at running back 9, a player below a player in the B tier. Actually, Ty, you split us in the middle, so I kind of want to get your thoughts too. But explain to me why he's all the way down at running back 9 for you, considering we clearly saw the rushing upside he has this season when he was healthy. Like, and the dude can catch the ball out of the backfield too, if you go look at his receiving game log. So I'm a little bit curious why he's down at running back 9 for you.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's because I have the guy who's ahead of him up in this tier, and for me, this tier personally is extremely close. Guys 4 through 9 in this tier, I can see going anyway. So that's why I understand you two are lower on our mystery player that we'll talk about in a sec. But for me personally, that's how I would break it up. And so it's really not that I'm that low on Amari Hampton. If you told me, hey, I want him ahead of Travion, I want him ahead of this other guy, I'm not going to fight you on it. I think it's so close. And we're kind of, we're really nitpicking at that point. My biggest thing is we only saw 2 games this season with over 4.3 yards per carry. I understand the offensive line's banged up. I get all that. The receiving work was nice to see. I just want to see more. I'm not, I want to see what it looks like next year. Do they bring in another running back? I just have some questions because we missed such a big chunk of the season with him. Obviously, he was the guy when he was healthy. So, again, I like Hampton. I think he for sure belongs in this tier. I won't argue if you go anyway. I just have these guys so stinking close that I was just nitpicking a little bit off of some of my preferences.
Sure. Ty, why don't you split the difference on that? Because I think I'm very much like, I think Amari Hampton firmly belongs in this tier, and like I guess I can see how it's close between some of the guys at the top of the B tier, but for me, it's like the difference in the upside in youth, and we only have 1 year under Amari Hampton's belt. And again, he's kind of one where if he's fully healthy, we can only go up from here. So maybe split the difference on Cam and I there.
I love the fact that Amari Hampton missed as many games as he did, and when he came back, yes, he was getting outsnapped by Kamani Vidal, but he was still a running back 13 in usage. So like they want to get him involved in the game plan. The receiving work, for the 3rd time, like the guy can catch passes out of the backfield. They clearly trust him to do that. And Lucas, I saw the thumbs up kind of pointing up.
Well, I think that usage can only go up too.
Go up. Yeah. Correct. It can only go up with this offense and a fully healthy offensive line. So I'm very much a believer in Amari Hampton. I actually have him ahead of Travion Henderson here. I firmly believe that Amari Hampton could legitimately be there. I'll just say this and I'll be bold. I think there's a case by the end of next year that Amari Hampton is at the top of this list, kind of pushing into that S tier than some of the other guys. Granted, that's not a talent argument. I'm just saying for a fantasy production perspective, Amari Hampton with an uptick in usage could very well be pushing that S tier.
When you're balancing the talent on offense, the capability of the offense, and the opportunities for said player as well, I do think Amari Hampton has the best balance of that. I think Ashton Genty could have the highest usage on definitely the worst offense. I think Travion Henderson could have the lowest usage on definitely the best offense. But if the Chargers bounce back next season, their offensive line stays healthy. I mean, let's not forget how this offense was thriving at the start of the season when everyone was healthy along their line. So I think especially once you get Joe Alt back too, I mean, that was just such a devastating injury. That was the nail in the coffin for this offensive line. So I'm with you, Ty. I think Amari Hampton could be the guy who's actually pushing the top of this tier come end of next season. We got a massive tier here with the B tier. It's 10 different players. Once again, we're not going to be able to talk about everybody. So I'm going to list everybody at the top. And then we'll kind of progress through this tier. Bucky Irving is at the top, followed by Christian McCaffrey, RJ Harvey, Breece Hall, Quinshon Judkins, Chase Brown, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Kyron Williams, and Cam Scadaboo. Let's start towards the top of this tier. Cam, just so we talk about the mystery player, Bucky Irving is the player that you have comparable to Amari Hampton. I'm going to give you a quick word here just to kind of explain that side of the coin for you.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is he's 1 year older than Hampton. I think the Bucks offense rebounds next season. They get healthy. I think even with Evans and Godwin getting older, I think the wide receivers are still going to be decent with McMillan and Igbuka there. And so that's what it comes down to. I believe in Bucky slightly more than Hampton as a player. That's really where I'm nitpicking. So I think they're both super young. I think they're both super talented. That's just why I have Bucky one spot higher.
Christian McCaffrey is the poster child of this tier. I labeled this tier in our notes the Great Dynasty Debate, because how long do you hold on to these running backs who are over the age of 28 but still give you S tier production, A tier production in fantasy football? Unfortunately, we just know the injury history with Christian McCaffrey, where you could either get the RB1 overall or you could get the RB100 overall based on how many games he plays. And that's a great dynasty debate. What do you do with Christian McCaffrey? I think you could easily turn him into any of the guys, not easily. If you can turn him into any of the guys in the S and A tier, obviously you 100% go and do it. But then you look at a guy like RJ Harvey, who's had a phenomenal back half of the season. We're talking about the running back 9 in usage on a points per game basis from week 11 on this year after J.K. Dobbins was injured. Like, obviously, you don't want to just spin Christian McCaffrey into RJ Harvey with the amount of questions that he has, but to maybe talk about RJ Harvey a little bit, how confident are we that he actually remains this team's bell cow? Like I said, top 10 in usage. Once he got the opportunity this year, back half of the season, does that change for Denver going into next year? Will the postseason be telling of that? Ty, I'll maybe start with you on this one. Where are you at on RJ Harvey in terms of going into 2026 and beyond?
I don't think that RJ Harvey is going to be more of that kind of bell cow back. But what I do expect is that he's going to be getting the majority of those high value touches where he's going to get some receiving work. He's going to be utilized down by the goal line. So we can vacate some of those kind of short yardage or like 2-minute snaps, even though I think he could be very functional in that role. My hope for RJ Harvey as kind of this next up rookie running back that because we touched on Genty, Hansen, and Travion. If Harvey can get the high value touches and succeed with those, then going into year 3, I'm like all in on Harvey as them being a bell cow guy. I just am expecting Sean Payton to be a little cautious, being a little slow at first with RJ Harvey. We did see improvement this year, which does bode well. But I'm not of the opinion that he's exactly a bell cow guy, that Denver has their running back position figured out. I do expect them to kind of be interested in the market to find another like J.K. Dobbins type running back to pair up with him.
Yeah, and I think instead of J.K. Dobbins coming in and being the 1A to RJ Harvey's 1B, I think it's going to be RJ Harvey as the 1A, but who do you bring in as the 1B for RJ Harvey? And I think you're 100% right. It's going to be a flipping of the roles where you're like, wow, J.K. Dobbins, he's giving me top 20 production this year. And I think you're going to see that with RJ Harvey next year, but it's not going to come without getting spelled in some annoying, I don't even want to say passing down situations, because we know RJ Harvey can catch the ball, but some of the change of pace stuff that you wish RJ Harvey would just stay in for, mostly because coming out, nobody expected RJ Harvey to be a bell cow back, similar to how he has been for the Broncos latter half of the season here. Cam, I'm going to come back to you because the next guy, Breece Hall, has been your guy for the longest time. And obviously, I don't even want to go back and revisit how atrocious this New York Jets season was. It was comically terrible. The one thing I think for Breece Hall, it's crazy. I was looking at his stats, career high in rushing yards this year. You wouldn't think that based off of how bad the New York Jets were this year, but it was a sharp decline in receiving work this year. We're talking about his first 2 seasons in the league with 50 plus receptions. He couldn't even get to 40 this year. I think that's a massive hit. He's a free agent this offseason. Hello. Immediately my mind goes to, can we get a Saquon Barkley if he switches teams, a Josh Jacobs, a Derrick Henry kind of renaissance here for Breece Hall? Because I think that's what a lot of fantasy players are hoping for and want to be optimistic of with Breece Hall, is just get him the heck out of New York and let him cook on a competent offense.
So I'll be honest, I chickened out. My original rankings, I had Breece Hall at 8. I think I think we get the renaissance here. I think he's so good. And you put him on a team that's going to give him a 3-year contract. Oh, baby. I think we could have a couple good years, Brees. The Jets are just so incompetent on offense this year. I mean, they were just absolutely
And they've been incompetent.
And so you give me anybody. I'll take anyone where he's the starting back. I don't even care. As long as he's the starting back. Obviously, I don't want him sitting behind Christian McCaffrey, but anywhere he's the starting back, I'd take him. So he's one I'd roll the dice on. I made a trade in our Dynasty League this season, which I went back and thought
it was a very good trade.
Very good trade. Some would call it a fleece. If I don't make the trade, I win the championship if he's on my team. That's the only downside I've realized. So I did get the good picks, but I did lose the championship because I made the trade.
Thanks for making that trade, Elliot.
Yeah. So
brought me home a championship in that league this year.
That's the issue of not having Brees Hall on my team. But yeah, I'm willing to take the shot on Brees. I'm willing to be hot and bothered all off season. I'm willing to have my heart broken because I am going to be pushing all the chips in. But with all that being said, he's going to sign somewhere so stupid. It's going to be like he's going to sign with like Cleveland or something like that, and it's going to be him and it's going to be like, what is going on? That's what's going to happen. So I already know, but as of right now, yeah, I'm willing to push the chips in.
I was going to say, I feel like there's a handful of teams that you would love to see Brees Hall go to this offseason, the likes of the Dallas Cowboys. I wouldn't even mind if he went to the Washington Commanders this offseason, though like Washington doesn't really have much money that they can go out and, if I'm remembering correctly, they don't have a crap ton of money to go out and spend. They pushed the chips in this year. It's not looking good for their cap situation this offseason. That's another situation, though, where if he went there, it could be great. The Kansas City Chiefs, obviously, you would love that as well, even though they're in prime position to potentially take Jeremiah Love in the NFL draft. Ty, where do you sit? Because I want to be optimistic with Brees Hall. I really, really do. I'm terrified he gets hit with the franchise tag, though, and he remains a New York Jet, or he finds himself on a team where it's still not a 100% clear path to like, oh, thank goodness Brees Hall is the clear starting running back for this team.
I'm just going to throw this one out there. Brees Hall is going to be a Denver Bronco. He's going to be a Denver Bronco. Sean Payton is
worse for everybody here. I want my RJ Harvey stock to go up.
Right. He's going to be a Chicago Bear.
Well, that was the other one. Okay, so you can have fun with Chicago, even though DeAndre Swift is on contract through 2026.
Yeah, like we can have like the top. We like there's the clear like 3 destinations that you wanted to go to, right? But we know it's usually how this works. We get all excited, we get all giddy that he's going to find that opportunity, and then it's going to go somewhere else. Like Tony Pollard and Brees Hall are not the same running back, but like we all had the dream of Tony Pollard kind of getting into a nice situation, and then he goes to Tennessee, and you're just like, what why are we doing that?
All of us.
Yes, all of us. Okay. I'm dragging you guys in with this. Okay. You guys are coming with me on this one. But like you can't deny the talent that is Brees Hall, right? Like that he can have as productive of a season that he did in that bad of a situation. So you do have to acknowledge like there is upside, but it is pretty landing spot dependent, in my opinion, that like if he lands in the right situation, there's a ton of upside. But if we land in another kind of murky situation, it's going to be another frustrating. I mean, it's going to be frustrating for the foreseeable future then.
I'll throw out the Arizona Cardinals as another team that could be interesting for Brees Hall.
You're not sold on Trey Benson, James Conner's contract. James
Conner's in the last year of his contract, wasn't he? Isn't he a free agent this offseason?
Great question. I think he has one more year.
I will fact check myself on that very quickly.
He does have one more year, but they
does.
Cut him for $2 million in dead cap.
Yeah.
So
you're gonna cut the guy that just got injured. That's not a great look, Arizona.
That's what every NFL team does.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Underdog, where you can get into the game this season playing Pick'em. It's extremely simple. Just pick higher or lower on 2 or more of your favorite players. For example, I'll pick the higher on Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Xavier Worthy. If I played $10 and got all 3 of them right, I would win $60 just by watching football. And that's the beauty of Pick'em. You can track your picks and your wins while you enjoy the game. Now, if you're not on Underdog yet? Scan the QR code on your screen or use our code FELLAS when you sign up, because new customers will get $50 in bonus funds when you put your first $5 on the app. Plus, Underdog will give you a free pick to use in your first entry. Again, that's code FELLAS over on Underdog. Now let's get you back to the rest of the show. We got a handful of more running backs to cover in the B tier here before even covering the last 3 tiers. So we'll keep it flying here. Quinshon Judkins is such a fascinating case because I understand why people want to be optimistic. He's a young running back who showed flashes of great potential this year, but golly, the Cleveland Browns aren't that much better of an offense to be on than the New York Jets right now. It seems a little bit better, don't get me wrong, but I think the big question we have to ask here with Quinshon Judkins is, are the Browns able to make themselves better enough, if that makes sense? Can the Browns improve enough to turn Judkins into a top 12 running back? Or is he a guy that you're like, you know what? I'm willing to sell the young, high upside running back for a more higher producing asset, even though they're older, say like a Josh Jacobs or a Kyron Williams. How are you, again, Cameron, I'll start with you on this one. How are you kind of balancing the scales here?
Yeah, I actually like that a lot. I think if I'm competing, that's exactly what I'm looking to do. Because we got to remember too, he had a nasty injury. He broke his fibula, dislocated his ankle. I mean, that's 4 to 6 months. So
right,
he should be back in time for training camp. But we've seen guys with that type of Tony Pollard, we just talked about him, right? Didn't quite look the same this season before, right? He's young enough where that's why he's still this high in our dynasty rankings, right? He's only 22. He's going to have plenty of years in his prime. But if I'm trying to compete over the next 2 seasons, I'm not imagining that the Browns are going to suddenly turn around. They're going to be, back to the Nick Chubb era where they can run the ball, a ton. I think, he feels like a guy who's going to be in this tier for a couple of years, probably the next 2 or 3 of this is where he is, and going to be propped up a little bit because of age, a little bit because of promise. So if you can move for a guy, like you said, Josh Jacobs, Kyron Williams, I like a lot in this tier. If you're a competing team, obviously, if you're going through a rebuild, don't do it. Right. I mean, that maybe sell them for wide receiver or something like that. But if you're a competing team, go up another 2-3 years in age and get a guy is going to produce. Don't hate that one at all.
Ty, you feeling the same way about Quinshon Judkins? Are you any more optimistic than Cameron and I are, or can we keep things moving here?
I agree with you guys. This feels like Ashton Genty without the receiving work. Offenses are terrible. You're going to get the volume, but that's about
talented.
it. Yeah, like
still very talented,
but just not like Ashton Genty talented. So he's going to be in this B tier for the next couple of years for sure.
Let's get to some of the older players in this tier. Chase Brown, I think we just know at this point he's Joe Burrow dependent. If Joe Burrow is playing, Chase Brown is an asset you want. If Joe Burrow isn't playing, Chase Brown is borderline unplayable then. Saquon Barkley, though. I look, you don't want to chalk this season up to age. You don't want to solely chalk it up to his 2024 production. But look, these are the questions we're asking about with these kinds of players where they're over the age of 28. They're nearing the twilights of their careers. I get Saquon Barkley could play till he's 35, so people might be like, really? He's got 7 years left. The point being is once you hit that 30 age cliff, anything is on the table, right? Especially after the volume that Saquon Barkley got, and he still got 280 totes this year. How much time do we actually have left with Saquon Barkley? And I don't state that in a dark manner of the end is near. I'm not trying to fearmonger anything here, but Cam, I'll come to you. How much time do we have left with Saquon Barkley, do you think, as a prominent dynasty asset?
Yeah, that's the issue. Is it really is? He's at the age now. He tears an ACL next season. He doesn't come back, right? I think of Tyreek Hill this year. Tyreek Hill,
31,
31. Which obviously Saquon 28, but for wide receivers, they usually have a couple more years than running backs. Tyreek Hill's never going to be a dynasty guy that you can trade anymore.
No,
even if he does come back, it's never going to be the same. The same as with Saquon. If any season-ending injury, you're like, all right, well, I've kind of tanked all the value. So you have to be able to handle that risk going in of at any time the wheels can fall off. Historically, coming off, back-to-back 300 touch seasons going into year 29 is not great. It is historically, this is when the wheels start to fall off. So if you're somebody who's like, I want to get out before he's worth nothing in Dynasty, this would be the time to do it. If you want to take that risk, you're hoping, hey, if this is the floor of Saquon, maybe I can get something a little bit better, then sure, keep him on your team because that's probably where he's going to be this next year would be my assumption. But running back, especially at his age, it's usually better to get out a year early than it is a year late.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley is a guy where maybe at the end of next season, we say he jumps up to the A tier. But again, we're looking at Christian McCaffrey, 29 years old, and he's still sitting in the B tier here. So I don't think Saquon is a guy that we're going to consider jumping a tier in Dynasty, regardless of how talented he is. Even if he flashes back to 2024 Saquon, like nobody's going to sit here and say, yeah, but you know what? We got a lot more years left of this in Saquon Barkley. I think if it happens, if he reverts to 2024 Saquon next year, I actually think he doesn't move at all. I think people say, well, great, there it is. Another 300-plus touch season, another heavy workload. How longer can we keep this up? He's a guy where I feel like he's just stuck here rather than, the upside of a Bucky Irving who could be in the A tier, the upside of an RJ Harvey, shoot, even a Breece Hall could, if he lands in the right spot, could force himself up into the A tier after next season. Ty, are you kind of in that same boat as well? Or how are you managing Saquon Barkley?
I think that can be true while also saying that like you shouldn't punish Saquon too much for what happened this year.
No,
not because of the historical year that he had in 2024, but just the state of the Eagles offense around him with the offensive line play that was consistently injured and playing hurt, inconsistent, all that kind of stuff. We can say both things that like, yes, we have very limited time here with Saquon. But that there is an opportunity for a bounce back. It's not going to be a historic bounce back, but it's going to be, it can be better than what it was this year. But when you look at Dynasty, you need to look in about, like, I would say, like, especially for these veteran running backs, and this will sound very similar to what Cam was saying about getting out a year early than a year late. Look at a year to year, right? For a 28-year-old running back that has the volume that he does, look at a year to year and just understand that, like, hey, there is a risk with this Eagles offense that we would want them to be better than what they were this year. But if they're going to be anything similar to what this year has been, it may not be worthwhile having him on your roster then.
Let's jump to Cam Scadaboo. Scadaboo, the one player that everybody's been waiting to talk about. It just took us, 39 minutes into the episode to actually get to Cam Scadaboo finally. He's quietly the player that I wonder if he's the one you actually want out of this tier. The problem is, though, how are you balancing that upside, that talent, and that production with the longevity concerns here? Because if he keeps putting his head down, ramming into people like a bouldering ball, a wrecking ball, bouldering ball, I don't know where I got that from, wrecking ball. Again, it doesn't exactly bode well from a longevity perspective. So he's a guy where, like, should he be up ahead of RJ Harvey? I think there's a serious case for that. Does it also make sense that he's kind of after all the guys where you know exactly what you're getting from year in and year out? I also see the side of that as well. So maybe I'll ask you both to pick a side, plant your flag on one side or the other.
I think this is probably where I'm going to stay with him, is towards the end of this tier. It's just a wild card, right? It's going to be a little bit different than the rookie season because you do know, he should have had enough time to come back from the injury, should have a full recovery. But going in this year, it's going to be a new coach. It's going to be a new offense. What's his role actually going to be? Is he just a guy who is exciting but inefficient? Is he actually going to be part of the receiving game? Because he had 3 games where he had 6+ targets, but then he had 5 games where he had less than 2 receptions. So it's like, I don't actually know what I'm getting here. The one thing you do know is the worries that what he did in college wouldn't translate aren't there anymore, at least. He can hang. It's just, okay, now where does it actually fall in becoming an NFL running back? That's the biggest question. I think I'm going to be a little more pessimistic, and a little more cautious when it comes to Cam Scadaboo. But you at least know that there is upside with him. Take that, and that's why he's in this tier.
Ty, I'll let you pick your side here. Towards the top of this tier or correct in bottom of this tier?
I think firmly at the bottom of this tier, but he has the upside to be at the top of this tier by the end of next year. There is the same kind of injury concern that we talked about with Judkins, that, hey, he may not look the same and they may not look the prettiest when he comes back, but if there's anything that we know about this Giants team and what we found out about them, despite all the coaching changes, is that Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo are the future cornerstone pieces of this offense, and that they're going to do whatever they can to help them succeed. Maybe the thing that could also hold them back just a little bit, I'm not going to lie, Tyrone Tracy could be the most annoying thorn in the side of Cam Scadaboo when it comes to fantasy. That can be that again, that'll all depend about who is the next play caller, who's the next coach here for the Giants as well. But I just have to, maybe this is just purely vibes, but like not the best analysis, but at the same time, like you had to have noticed what happened in New York when Scadaboo and Jackson Dart were healthy, and that Scadaboo should be 1A here in this offense. And if you get the right coach, you can take a step forward here.
The C in C tier stands for contract, because Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, and Javonte Williams are all looking for contracts this upcoming offseason. You have Derrick Henry in this tier, but like we said with Derrick Henry, we're talking about a 32-plus-year-old running back who's got how many miles on at this point. And hey, Baltimore is going through changes, so we'll see how that impacts next season. All that to say, I want to talk about the three who are looking out for a contract here, because it's kind of, we can't look at things the same. We can't just say, well, Ken Walker's 2025 putrid season spoiled by Zach Charbonnet. We don't know where he's going to play next year. Well, Travis Etienne had a great 2020. We'll see if Jacksonville even brings him back, or if they want to start cycling in Bashal Tutin more. Javonte Williams, is he now a journeyman? Is he just a 2-year contract kind of running back? Does he re-sign with the Dallas Cowboys? Just so much up in the air here. Actually, hey, you know what? Javonte Williams might be a Denver Bronco next year. That might be where we actually see
he's going
Javonte
back.
Williams.
He's going back.
Hey, he might. He might. He might.
I got a feeling him and Sean Payton don't see eye.
No, let's talk about these three. Which one do each of you have the most confidence in? I want to circle back to upside them, because I think those are actually two different conversations. So moving forward, thinking about where they could potentially land, which one do you have the most confidence in?
I'm gonna go Kenneth Walker, just because we've seen the flashes of receiving upside.
Mm-hmm.
As far as efficiency as a runner, he's the best out of the three that we're talking about right now. Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams, I've just seen too much up and down going both ways. Kenneth Walker has always been volume related. That's where I come in at with Walker. So obviously, I think it's close enough that landing spot will be dependent for all three of these guys, right? I mean, if Walker ends up back in Seattle, which I don't think he will, right? You're also like, okay, never mind, Cameron's wrong. It's not Kenneth Walker. But if I had to pick just based off of talent right away, I'm picking Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker seems like the one, like shockingly enough, is like least likely to receive the franchise tag out of these two, which like also like I won't answer for upside right away, because I want to hear your thoughts on who you have the most confidence in, Ty. But like that's why I think he has the most upside too. It's because I think he's least likely to stay with his current team and find himself a much better home elsewhere. Most confidence in, Ty, where are you at?
Can I just say real quick, you thought Breece Hall, if you thought I thought that Breece Hall was a Denver Bronco, Ken Walker
I had that thought as Cam was talking, and I'm like, oh crap, Kenneth Walker is a Denver Bronco.
He's a Denver Bronco.
I would be crushed by that.
Any of like Travis Etienne, Javonte, Ken Walker, Breece Hall signed with Denver, it's sad boy hours. So back to your question about like from a talent perspective, it's Ken Walker. But I might side with Travis Etienne on this one. That's
where I'm at.
Just because I think he's the most likely to re-sign with his team, and the signs of this Jacksonville offense, I want a piece of it. And even though, yes, like Bashal Tutin will forever and always be a conversation here, I'm just going to be honest. I don't think Bashal Tutin is really going to be an issue.
If he's still in Jacksonville, yes.
Yeah. Like it'll always be a conversation. But like for those, oh gosh, like Quint Allen, yes, please. I just maybe it's just because I was never a big Bashal Tutin guy, but I'm just like Travis Etienne proved that like he's the running back that Liam Cohen trusts the most. Doesn't that sound familiar? Doesn't that sound like what happened in Tampa Bay with Bucky Irving, that he was the guy that Liam Cohen trusted the most? So that's the only reason why I probably side with ETN. From a talent, it's Ken Walker by far. But if it's just for situation and for upside of overall offensive play, I would go with ETN.
Ken, did you throw your hat in an upside ring? For confidence purposes, I'm with Travis Etienne. Upside purposes, I lean Ken Walker.
I go Ken Walker for both answers for me.
Sure. Which again, I think all three of these players could find themselves, Ken Walker, Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams, could all find themselves in potentially advantageous situations next season. But again, the offseason in terms of where they actually sign, I think will be telling in regards to their dynasty stock moving forward. The D tier, there's a whole lot of contingent upside that exists within this tier. It's Kyle Monangai, Woody Marks, Blake Corum, Zach Charbonnet, DeAndre Swift, Trey Benson, Bashal Tootin, Jalen Warren. And I do want to start with Kyle Monangai because he does come ahead of DeAndre Swift in our dynasty rankings. I think what I'm afraid of with Kyle Monangai, and it's not just because he was a 7th round draft pick, is that I'm worried we get another Isaiah Pacheco here. Ty, don't know. Stop. Hear me out.
You can't say that for the 7th round draft picks that played at Rutgers. You can't make that comparison. That's just stupid and too
all
easy.
two of them in the NFL. You cannot.
I didn't even put Rutgers in there. I didn't even put Rutgers. Nope. Because I didn't want to go that far. Because then everybody would say, "Oh yeah, he's just saying that." No. I'm seriously. I'm a bit worried. We're just getting Isaiah Pacheco here a little bit because we do have one more year of DeAndre Swift, sure. But then, from there on out, people are going to be clamoring for Kyle Monangai. So, Cameron, where do you lie on the Kyle Monangai scale of are we getting Isaiah Pacheco, or is there opportunity here for Kyle Monangai to actually be a prominent lead piece in this backfield?
I think the upside is David Montgomery. I do like.
Sure.
I know that's another cheap comp, but I mean we're coming from Ben Johnson where he just did it. He already has given, Monangai 170 carries last season, only gave him 18 receptions. So he's looking like he could be the same. It's just how many touchdowns is this Bears offense going to score? And if Luther Burden and Colston Loveland are as good as they've looked, if Roma Dunze is as good as, we think he is, this team could be in the red zone a lot. So that could be decent upside. But even David Montgomery at his best was maybe low B tier, probably more of a C tier guy. So that's the jump you're looking at. I will say from a DeAndre Swift perspective, $8 million cap hit this year, only $1.3 million in dead cap. So Swift could be gone, but I don't feel like Monangai is ever going to be the guy where he's the guy in this backfield. This could be Ty. Your Ken
Brees
Walker.
Hall spot. Oh,
I think it's Brees. I do think it's Brees. That's where this is my hope is that it's Brees here, but. Again, it's going to be someone stupid. It always is.
Can they get out of DeAndre Swift's contract?
Yes, $8 million cap hit this year, and only $1.3 million in dead cap if they move on.
Oh,
$15 million guarantee, which was all in the first 2 years of his deal.
Yep. So they can't. Okay, so I went. Yeah, so DeAndre Swift is definitely a cut candidate this year. He can be a cap casualty. Yikes. Okay.
Which is why Swift is behind Monangai for me because he then becomes another Tony Pollard-esque kind of player where it's just like, DeAndre he's going to sign somewhere.
They're going to have so many running backs this year.
So many. They're going to have all of them, actually.
they're going to have all the running backs.
All the running backs, so no team can have a running back.
They're going to have
Javonte Williams, Rico Dowdle, Travis, Ken Walker, Brees Hall, all of them. Give them all the running backs.
You thought drive by drive is the new running back rotation? Nah, it's game by game at this point.
It is snap by snap. Snap by snap. Get them all out there.
We're just playing them all.
We're gonna play them all. Let's keep moving to Jaquavius Marks. Actually, I probably shouldn't be using full government names after DK Metcalf decided to retaliate. I was gonna say I should probably be careful with how I'm using government names now on the show. Woody Marks. Ty, I'll maybe ask the Kyle Monangai question here. Not that I'm worried about getting Isaiah Pacheco, but can Woody Marks become a full-time back in the NFL? Can he become a lead guy in the offense? Because again, you look at after the Texans week 7 bye, we're talking about the running back 17 in usage.
I think so. but I don't think the team will follow through on it.
I'm kind of okay if the team doesn't follow through on that because I don't think Woody Marks should be a full lead back in the NFL.
So here's the conundrum then, because if you don't want him to be the guy, you want them to sign a player that can still feature Woody Marks as the 1A guy, or at least where the majority of touches goes to Woody Marks still. Will forever and always say Ken Walker is a Houston Texan, Breece Hall is a Houston Texan. But like,
well, Ken Walker feels like the compliment you want to Woody Marks here. But again, but I think that's a 1B for Woody Marks then, not a 1A.
That's interesting because I'm not sure that Woody Marks, yes, he was able to handle the workload, but that's also because this team had him,
nobody,
and Nick Chubb. When you do bring in, when you do bring in a Ken Walker, when you do bring in a Breece Hall, guys that have proven to not only handle that kind of workload, but succeed with it, you would have to think the ball follows the money a bit in that sense too. And that Woody Marks kind of takes on that 1B role, which can still be valuable, but I do think that it's not going to be as great as it was. This is the 2023, 2024 Dameon Pierce, Tyrone Tracy kind of conversation here.
Pierce. I was gonna say I gotta
remember Dameon.
You guys can excuse me. I gotta rub my eyes. I can't tell if I'm looking at the Dameon Pierce game logs or Woody Marks because they might be the same thing.
It feels like it might just be. There's always a rookie running back that kind of takes advantage of the situation that's in front of him and becomes kind of the workhorse, but he's not really built to be that kind of guy.
Right.
So yes, you can say like, yeah, I want this guy to be the guy, but don't attach yourself to that because you should also be realistic and say they're probably going to bring in somebody else here.
Yeah, that's what I think that's what I'm like worried about. That's like the icky vibe I get here is like, are we just going to get Dameon Pierce? Which Cam, I don't know if you looked like you were grinning, you were going to jump in and add something. It looked like, but I think that is my low key fear here with Woody Marks is sure they gave him the work. I don't know if that really means anything though, because it didn't mean anything for Dameon Pierce. And I don't want to get too attached to Woody Marks if we also think somebody's going to come in, spell RJ Harvey, who has just flat out done more with the work that he's been given.
Go get a draft pick. Go get a draft pick. That's what I would do with Woody Marks. Yeah. Selling for a draft pick. If we do the same bit, I think we have the same videos as last year, turning players into picks.
Woody Marks will be on that.
I call him.
No, wait. No, I was the one
to talk right now.
I was the one that brought up the Dameon Pierce comp.
I was thinking it already. I already had Dameon Pierce pulled up.
Last player I want to talk about in this tier, Blake Corum, I think has kind of become David Montgomery at this point. Is that fair to say in terms of how he's splitting with Kyron and how effective he's been this year? Like I do think he's genuinely become like a David Montgomery kind of player when he first joined the Lions.
Yeah, he's been actually extremely efficient too.
It'll be him and Kyron have been bonkers efficient here.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting kind of as this moves on. Again, he's a guy who's not much younger than Kyron. He's 25 as well. So this isn't a succession plan necessarily. For Ty's messing in our doc. That's where we're coming from.
No, he put Woody Marks trade block.
Oh, did he? Oh, I was wondering why I got a sleeper. Oh, what a jerk. Well, at least he didn't drop him. I had that earlier.
Well, I gotta act quick because now that we put it out into the universe, people are gonna hear it and go, "Oh no, I'm not trading for Woody Marks." So I gotta act quick.
But yeah, I think he could be. It'll just be interesting, like what the split actually looks like next season.
Yeah, in regards to the rest of this tier, then Zach Charbonnet, obviously you're dependent on Ken Walker. I don't want to spoil. I don't want to extrapolate that too much. DeAndre Swift, you're dependent on if he's Chicago Bear or not. Trey Benson, is he the lead back next year? Do they bring in somebody else? That's kind of the conversation you're having there. We got a yes from Cameron. Cameron just wants his Trey Benson stock to
Trey Benson. No.
Bashal Tootin is the Travis Etienne bit, and then Jalen Warren is the one you could have a conversation on. But again, correct me if I'm wrong, he's also seeking a contract this upcoming offseason.
He was on a tender offer. He was
on a tender,
right? 1 year thing, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
So he should be looking for an offer this year.
So again, that's the debate with Jaylen Warren. I don't want to bore you too much with that. Jaylen Warren put out a very, very good season, but
you got Kenny
it
Gainwell.
might be a little too late. I'm worried for Jaylen Warren.
No way.
Oh, what did I
Kenny.
miss? Sorry, I was talking.
no.
I was in my zone.
Well, Cav just goes, he's got a Kenny Gainwell problem.
Shout out Kenny Gainwell though, man.
Yes, sir, baby.
No, stop it. Arthur Smith gets to
Better in best ball.
Arthur,
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
better in best ball. And that is to Arthur Smith's credit much more than it is Kenny Gainwell. Look, we're 56 minutes into this probably, and we got 10 players in the E tier. Obviously, we're not covering all these names, but Handcuff City is what we're calling this tier. It's Jordan Mason, who probably isn't a handcuff. He's definitely probably the lead back for the Minnesota Vikings moving forward. It's a Rico Dowdle. It's Tyler Algier. It's Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, Ramondre Stevenson, David Montgomery, Chuba Hubbard, Tyrone Tracy Jr., Dylan Sampson, and Devin Neal. Before we get to the Tyler Algier conversation, I do want to ask a Rico Dowdle, Chuba Hubbard conversation, because I do wonder if Chuba Hubbard is actually the guy you want out of the two who's in this tier. Again, Rico Dowdle also seeking a contract this offseason. Rico Dowdle, you are a Denver Bronco.
Everyone's a Denver Bronco in this episode. Everybody.
I want to counter in the comments because I know somebody's gonna say, "Gosh, not everybody. These guys just think everybody's gonna be a Denver Bronco." It's the bit. That's why. That's why
it's the bit. We need a T-shirt
bit.
that says like anybody can type in somebody's name and just go,
"I'm a
"You
Denver
are a
Bronco."
Denver Bronco.
Future
and then on the back, you can do like "Let's Ride" or something.
And you watch, RJ Harvey's going to be the only running back they have. He's going to be
right. They won't sign anybody. Yeah.
We're doing this for the people. Okay, we're hyping this all up so we do get the RJ Harvey backfield.
but no, like, is Chuba Hubbard secretly the guy you actually want out of this tier? I wonder if he is, because I don't know if it's guaranteed. Rico Dowdle goes back to the Carolina Panthers.
I don't want to say it too loud. Jonathan Brooks. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, remember Jonathan Brooks.
What could have been? What could have
been?
The next Bijan, but never was.
Whatever. You guys.
He is a $7 million cap hit this year and $10 million in dead cap. So I got to assume Hubbard is back.
Yeah.
He never looked quite right when he did come back from injury. And obviously with the way Rico played when he was out, it was like, do we really want to give this full backfield back to him? It'll be interesting how the playoffs kind of shake out, but he does have a contract with the Panthers for the next 3 years. The way his contract's set up, he's probably only there next year.
I agree.
But yeah,
I thought you were talking about Rico Dowdle for a second.
No.
I was like, what are you talking about?
No, talking about
Chuba.
I
was on the wavelength.
I think Chuba Hubbard, as far as the Panthers running back you want, I think I'm going to go Chuba.
You in that same boat, Ty? Do you think Rico Dowdle comes back? I just don't know if they can get Rico to come back cheap enough.
Yeah, I think there's too many opportunities for Rico to
Trevor Etienne.
take.
Gosh, they have Trevor Etienne too.
The special teams draft pick in the
special teams, special players.
Oh no.
Special teams, special plays, special players.
Classic. I do think Rico leaves. So yeah, I would say, yeah, you want Chuba Hubbard. If you want a Panthers running back, I'm not gonna make it sound like they are like must-have commodities, but
I agree.
If for whatever reason you're a fan of the Panthers or you really like the name Chuba Hubbard, you that would be the guy to have.
If you want to get a little bit more solidified of an asset for a third round pick and some slight change like that, Chuba Hubbard's probably the guy you want to go burn a draft pick on there if you want to pick up somebody.
Rico Dowdle is an Atlanta Falcon.
Oh, hey, if Tyler Algier walks, that's a great transition. If Tyler Algier walks, is there a chance he picks up a lead back role elsewhere in the NFL? I seriously wonder if there is.
No.
Maybe if Bijan gets hurt.
I'm talking 1A. I'm not talking 20 touches a game. I'm talking 1A.
I guess if he's a Denver Bronco, probably.
I know we throw out the Houston Texans. That's another one though. Like if you brought in Tyler Algier and Woody Marks to be the 1-2 in Houston, I like that a lot better than Woody Marks and Nick Chubb, personally.
Well, yeah, no, duh. Anything could be better than Nick Chubb, man. Come on. We saw that after week 1.
Nick Chubb.
Fair enough. Captain Obvious here. You can tell we're an hour into this because we're really getting to the point where our batteries are burnt here. Okay. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. Is he the you up text you're sending now that we saw the last 3 weeks? Is he the guy you're texting you up to?
Ty was worried about Trey Benson. I think I'm a lot more worried about Bill losing a role to somebody else coming in. Like you said, Breece Hall would be a lot of fun there. Ken Walker would be fun there. I'd like any running back would be a lot of fun there. Put him with Jaden Daniels. Let that kind of shake out. Javonte Williams could be a good commander.
Oh, there you go.
Rico Dowdle. There you go. There's your spot. Tyler Algier could go. Like I think anybody could fit into there right now, and Bill's just going to be the 1B. I think that's essentially how it's going to work. They seem to
he might not even be. He might be 2.
He might be 2.
And they seem to like Jeremy McNichols a lot. That might be a Cliff Kingsbury thing. I don't know. Maybe he's
Chris
Rodriguez. So
I don't believe either are under contract after this year, but I am checking that.
Rodriguez should be because he was a draft pick within the last 3 years.
Yes. No, he's a free agent, restricted free agent this year.
He was a 6th round, so he might have only had a 3-year deal.
Yeah, maybe.
3-year deal.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah.
And I'm checking Jeremy McNichols as well.
He's definitely a free agent. He's definitely a free agent.
Yes, he is an unrestricted free agent. So both are
an 8-year
hitting
deal.
free agent in different capacities.
Did you say 8-year deal?
These
new precedent for running backs in the free agent market. Sign the longest contract that you can. Doesn't matter what you're getting, just get the longest.
It's 8 years, $95.
The longest. Yeah. I'm worried Bill doesn't even become a 1B. He's just 2.
That
And
would be the concern.
I mean, if they were willing to do it with Chris Rodriguez, is 3 games against favorable matchups enough for you to change your mind on that? I'm not sure, especially if they can bring in a guy of the caliber of Breece Hall. Again, I really think Breece Hall could be a Washington Commander if they want. I mean, they brought in Austin Eckler to be a pass catching guy, and they had Brian Robinson, who was going to be their thumper originally, but obviously he's out of town now. You get Breece Hall, who can kind of play the entire role in that perspective. I don't think they keep Deebo Samuel either. So if you want to scheme, short passes over the middle for a ton of yards after catch, like you can throw Breece Hall in that role if you really want to. So I just think you can do so much with Breece Hall and Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin in that offense where it just makes so much sense. So that's why I'm like, I get it. People want to be hot and bothered by Bill. But I'm just not willing to push the chips in like some other people will. We'll make sure we hit it because that might be one of the last times we ever hit it on this program. We'll put a pin on it there because that was a lot of running backs we covered. If you are an enjoyer of Dynasty Fantasy Football content, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell as well, because we got wide receiver rankings coming next week. We got tight end rankings coming next week. And the following weeks, we're going to talk about some emerging players, some studs you absolutely want to target, some other players you might want to deal for draft picks. I mean, it is Dynasty Central coming up here. Basically, through the month of April, we are covering Dynasty content, rookies, trades, everything in the source for you all. So this is a place you're going to want to be. You can follow our other socials as well, where we have different exclusive content, not even Dynasty specific content coming out over there all off season long as well. FFL is over on Twitter. DFFL is on Instagram. Fantasy Football Fellas on Facebook and TikTok. If you're a YouTube truther through and through, we got you covered. We salute you. We respect you. Fantasy Football Fellas shorts on YouTube. If you want some personal content from us, I am at Lucas Wenzel on X, Camlaw FFF for Cameron, Tyler _Plath for Ty. We'll be back next week. Again, we're down to 2 programs a week now, Tuesday and Thursday for the foreseeable future here. We'll let you know if that changes otherwise. But thanks so much, y'all. We'll see you next time. Deuces.
Deuces.